time, I was depressed. I mean, that was imprinted on me. I'm depressed. And at the same time, my internal mechanism says I'm hyperactive, I'm attention deficit disorder, and after the adoption I was manic, so I was manic depressive. And because at that time, what is that, 70 years ago, I guess, or almost, there was no such thing as bipolar, or manic depression was not understood or anything. So that's what I was, and as a consequence, I beat up on my brother, but I could also be very nice to him, and I was just a mess. And eventually, after we graduated, my brother and I graduated from day camp, we were sent away in the summers to away camp. You know, again, let's keep them away. And in between school and away camp, there are, of course, holidays, and the big one is the Christmas holidays, the winter holiday. Christmas, we called it. And so we were out of school for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, whatever it was. And my parents ran away, and they ran down to Florida. Again, you know, loving parents. Went down to Florida. They brought my mother's sister in as our aunt to take care of us while they were away, because she was a single maiden aunt. And not quite the same, not quite the same. And also she was a nice woman, but she was kind of cold. I mean, she was already of an age that she would have been married for, I don't know, 10, 20 years, 15 years, whatever. And she had no children. And so, you know, we were dumped on her, and she was dumped on us. It wasn't the most loving kind of relationship you could imagine. After school and the summer camps and those things, then we were sent away to away camp, so that we were way away. I mean, we were sent eventually to Maine. It's sad, but it's true, and it's funny in a morbid way.
Did you ever reconnect with your birth mother?
No.
Or even your first foster mother?
No, there was no way I could. First of all, I was so traumatized. Second of all, the whole thing that happened with that adoption was to take away all of my power, so that I walked around in a state of fear and of never knowing what was going to happen to me next. Because the first 5 years, you lose those. So everything after that was, I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I wasn't particularly loved. And I was way too young, and my mother had sealed the adoption papers. So no way I could do it, not really. I didn't even know I was born Elizabeth until I went to get a passport.
Is that how you found out about the name Epstein?
No, it was way after. A substitute birth certificate was made out, which was a phony, and it said Arthur Richard Kasakove. I think it said Arthur Jack or Jacob Kasakove. So I knew that there was something wrong, and I did remember that my middle name had been changed along with the last. So, but that was the first indication that what that middle name had been, and that wasn't until I got my passport, and I was older, much older. So. No, I never found out anything until my mother died, because she had sealed everything in New York except the seal. They won't break it. And when she died, then I guess there was a letter that said, okay, you can give this to the kids. And so Jean got one, which I've never seen, and I got one, and all it was the social worker's notes, which I have, and that was part of the autobiographical piece that I was going to do. And anyhow, there was no way of my finding my mother. I was already in my 50s. 20, 40, I was at 22, 40. I was in my, I guess I was in my 50s, early 50s. And No, you know, so my mother, who gave birth at 30, would have been 80, and I mean, even if I had wanted to, I couldn't imagine imposing myself, a grown man, on a woman who had no recollection of me and was probably close to 80 or thereabouts. So, lead me back. Where was I?
Well, you were talking about your adopted parents.
Oh yeah, okay. So and how my adopted parents had sent me off to day camp. It wasn't bad enough they sent me to day camp, but they sent me to one for 2 years in Connecticut. They sent me to another one for 2 years. I think it was in Pennsylvania. And then they sent me to the last one for 2 years, and that was in Maine. I mean, keep pushing them away, you know, gives us a better excuse that we don't have to visit. My father, I don't think, ever visited Maine. I know, because I can remember my mother visiting, but I can't remember my father. So I was sent to camp, and all it did was increase that whole feeling that I had. And, of course, did away with all the joy that I had had previously, which the social worker had documented, or I wouldn't have known it. And after going away to camp, then I was sent away to prep school. I was sent away to military school first, because somebody, a doctor or somebody, said that I was beating up too much on my brother. And so I had to be taken out of the house so that he could come back from the snake pit that he was in. And so I was sent to military school for 1 year, which, by the way, I got that award for, that lamp of learning. I got that award for. There were 3 Jews in this Jacksonville, Florida military school. I mean, military school in the South, you can imagine, pretty bad. So there were 3 of us. One of them was a Slav, and he got kicked out of the Corps. And the way they kicked him out is they made him march down to where the major was, who ran the school, or yeah, I think it was a major. And they cut off all of his buttons, and they dismissed him. So he marched down, he did an about face, and he marched out. And I looked at him, and I thought, you are nuts. Why will you let them do this to you? I mean, this is ridiculous. You don't have to march down. What are they going to do? They're going to grab you by the arms and drag you down? You know, they're going to strip you naked or something? It was just moronic. So he was gone. I was given a roommate who was not really American, though he was the son of the American ambassador to Mexico, and his mother was Mexican. And he had a tough time adjusting, but we got along for the rest of the year. In the meantime, now we were down to 2 Jews, and the 2 Jews were having a fight because we were both